So I have a question about the hilt, the Origin Saber at Theory Sabers. Did you design it in the hilt using the same technique that you designed the very first lightsaber? Because I know that Theory, he usually designs all of his saber hilts from this company called TXQs, but when you helped
Yes.
him design it, when you helped him design it, did you use the same method you used for the very first lightsaber?
Yeah, it's the same one. As I said, I thought, we make these things from what I first ever tried was I tried 6 of the strips around because that's naturally what you would do. I ended up packing them into 7, so we did it with 6. No, I did. And my biggest thing on the first movie, I loved that red button when I saw it. It was never used. Luke had, it was, with a stick stuck in the end of it, it was unstable and everything. And Luke holding it where he held it, he used my bubble strip to fire it up. If you watch in Obi-Wan's cave, that's what he does. So my big thing was I always wanted to see a lightsaber which was controlled by the red button, and the one from Theory Sabers, the button controls everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was history coming alive for me from what I dreamt and how it should be. So things like that, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. I always thought for sure that Luke always ignited the lightsaber from the red button too, but I know it's new from all the other props and toys and everything. It was on the bubble strap.
Yeah, and that was never intended. It was just easier for him, and with the blade, it was so unwieldy that it was easier for him just to hold it and do that.
Yeah, totally.
Pretend, because no one knew in those days, what is this lightsaber? How does it work? What is it? Anything, because it never worked. Right. Now I've got a lightsaber that works and it lights up and the blade lights up, and it's like, it's such a thrill for me, it gives me a feeling of what all the fans go through each time.
I know you designed obviously the Origin Saber. What are your thoughts on the Revenge of the Sith looking one that I guess George kind of changed and all that? This isn't from Theory. This is from Saber Theory. This is just the Revenge of the Sith replica.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's different.
That's better than my big peeve was, I finished Star Wars. I designed the Nostromo and did all the interiors for Alien. Did Life of Brian. I designed that fully with Terry Gilliam. I'd had enough and I wanted to start making my own movies, and I'd written this Black Angel film, the short film, because we had short films in those days as packages. There were no adverts or trailers. It was just a 25 or 30-minute short film and the main film. And George, partly as a thank you, but partly because he didn't like the other scripts that were submitted. They weren't in line with Empire, the sequel. He triggered mine by guaranteeing to put it out in the cinemas with Empire. So the British government gave me £25,000 grant, which was available to young filmmakers. So I didn't do Empire. And John Barry was directing his first film, Saturn III. And so Norman Reynolds took it over, the art director on the first Star Wars. And he hired a set decorator who, in my opinion, and he was a dear friend of mine, but should never have been doing science fiction. If you don't understand the genre, you shouldn't do it. So his lightsaber, as you know, he cut pieces out of the T-strip and stuck rivets around it, which is something I would never do because it humanized it. This has to be a mystical weapon, and which unfortunately became the standard, went all the way through Star Wars, right up until that Sith one, I think, or until, well, once his hand was cut off, they brought in a new one. He had to create his own one then, and Ewan chose that one, which was completely different.
Right here.
Yeah, so that was totally different. You know the story that I hero worship Dave Filoni.
Yes, I worship here. I worship him too.
So if you watch the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, at the end there, Obi-Wan's in the desert and he has to get the original lightsaber, which is what he gives to Luke, which becomes Luke's lightsaber. And I was watching this episode like kind of going, what's he going to dig up? What's he going to dig up? I hope he doesn't get this wrong. And Dave Filoni, being anal about the original, dug up my lightsaber with the original T-strip and the bubble strip, not that terrible piece of computer stuff that the set deck stuck in for Empire, and which unfortunately became Luke's all the way through. So yeah, that was another reason of doing the Origin Saber for me.
Yeah, so you can like change people's perception on how Luke's lightsaber looked, like after Anakin owned it. After Anakin lost the saber and then Obi-Wan gave it to him.
Yes, exactly.
That's insane. I'm actually in the middle of rewatching Kenobi, so whenever I get to that part, I will definitely have to pay very close attention.
Yes,